Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back for a brand new match preview on the channel. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple or Spotify, welcome back. We're here for Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Chelsea, the first game at Molineux ahead of the 24-25 season. And look, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be great to be back at Molineux. A little bit concerned about our running. Obviously, it's very tricky. We've got some tricky games coming up, and Chelsea just such a strange team because I look at that team and think they've got so many gifted individuals. Is it going to click on Sunday at Molineux? We'll find out. We've got the my thoughts, the predicted lineup, latest team news, and the opposition perspective later on in the video as well. If you are watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, be sure to leave that 5-star. Before we kick off, our channel partners over at Football Prizes have got a brand new prize up for grabs. And it is a signed and framed Jurgen Strand Larsen shirt. So if you want your chance to win that, be sure to go and visit the link in the description of the preview. Gary O'Neill's had his pre-match press conference today, and it's good news for Wolves fans. We had good news last week in regards to Cunha and so on, but he started on the bench last week. But this week, it sounds like it's perfect, no injury concerns, and it looks like it should be a fully fit and full strength squad for Wolves ahead of Saturday's game. Does give Gary maybe a little bit of a selection headache, but I think most of us will be on the same page looking at the predicted lineup shortly. There were comments and questions asked about the transfer dealings. Gary O'Neill seems fairly confident that there's still going to be some movements. I was expecting a little bit more news, but I think maybe following Sunday's game, we should have some more concrete news. I'm hoping maybe even tonight we have some more concrete news about that. But he also sort of said that the article that came out earlier this week from John Percy in regards to Wolves being a little bit more restricted and limited on funds isn't necessarily going to be true. Wolves do have the funds, but have got to make sure it's the right deal, the right player, and the right fit for the squad. So I'm excited to see what Wolves come up with. Centre-back, winger, and potentially goalkeeper before the deadline, perhaps. And obviously Bastien Moypiu, the French centre-back, set to join as well at the start of the week. But guys, my predicted lineup right here. I'd expect Jose Sarr, as you would think, would start in goal. Back four, I'm going to go unchanged. Matt Doherty at right back, Ryan Aït-Nouri at left back, Totti and Mosquera as the two centre halves. Middle two of João Gomez and Mario Lemina. On the left hand side, Rodrigo Gomez and Hwang Chan on the right hand side, with Matheus Cunha through the middle and Jurgen Strand Larsen leading the line. Obviously such a fluid front four, I'm sure, for Wolves. I'm hoping that we have a lot more of the ball. We get at Chelsea a little bit more. I think they may be quite vulnerable on the counter-attack as well. But look, they won on Thursday night against Servette, I think it was, in the Europa Conference League. I tried to catch little bits of it. They did look vulnerable at times, but ultimately they got the job done purely because of the quality they had in that squad. But looking at the history between these two teams, yeah, Chelsea have only beat us once in the last 8. Wolves have won the last 3. So going back to Molineux now, I'm really hoping that we can get a victory. Last year at Christmas Eve, it was a fantastic day. And of course, the game at Stamford Bridge, a Matheus Cunha hat-trick. So here's hoping that we see another successful day for Wolves. But we'll jump into the opposition preview now. I spoke to Charlie, Chelsea fan and YouTuber, to get his thoughts ahead of the game. So then, guys, we are here once again for the opposition perspective. Delighted to be alongside Charlie once again from the Blue Brother YouTube channel. Charlie, how you keeping, man?
Yeah, all good, mate. Pleased to be back. Season's underway again. Got a much-needed win on Thursday night. I know it's only Conference League, but, we needed a response from the opening day defeat to City. And I would say I'm looking forward to this one, mate. But our record at your place recently is really, really poor. So I can't say I'm too excited about it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've been looking at some of the form. We've got the double over you guys last season as well. It was a really good time. The Christmas Eve fixture was obviously so strange as well last season. But it's been. I mean, it's never quiet at Chelsea. It's always crazy. There's always something going on. And ever since you've had the takeover, it has been mental. But what's been your thoughts on the summer so far? Obviously, under new management, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more later. But in terms of the pre-season and the preparations, from your point of view, how do you feel it's gone?
Yeah, mate, it's kind of weird to think that Pochettino left this summer. It all seems like so long ago, and so much has happened since then. But look, I think at the time when Poch left, I wasn't best pleased with the decision. Obviously, Maresca's come in now. We finished the season strongly last year. Got that top six finish, and if it wasn't for City not fancying the FA Cup final, we'd be playing Europa League football. But it's kind of just the way it goes. Again, a lot of investment this summer, perhaps not on the same level as previous windows, but still, some decent players have come in. Pedro Neto obviously come from you boys. Joao Felix presented to the Stamford Bridge crowd Thursday night in the Conference League. So some good players have come through the door. We could maybe still add Victor Osimhen, potentially. Let's wait and see how that one pans out. If we were able to do that, then, I would consider it a good window. But I'm kind of a little bit mixed about the summer activity so far. Felix and Neto have definitely, made things better. But signing players like your Dewsbury Halls, like a Tosin on a free from Fulham, Guiu, the young kid from Barcelona, Renato Vega's another young guy that's come in. I mean, Kellyman from Villa, like 20 million quid. Basically, he's never going to play for us, probably just a PSR transfer. So I'd say it's mixed business. Pre-season was mixed as well. We did only get one win from six, and now whilst results aren't the be-all and end-all, the performances were okay. There were some good things, and there were some not so good things. So I kind of think we're where I expected us to be. I don't think we could expect miracles after 2 games from Enzo Maresca. It's a different style of play. A lot of the squad are being asked to play in a way that they've never really played before.
Yeah.
And it's going to take time. It's boring, but it's going to take time. So I'd say, look, I'm reasonably happy so far with the summer's activity. If we don't get a striker in, I think we're taking a bit of a risk, but ultimately, some quality has still come through the door, and that top 4 position is definitely there for the taking.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see as a neutral. I'd love to see Victor Osimhen come to the Premier League. So if Chelsea managed to pull that one off, that'd be fantastic. But again, we'll jump into transfers very quickly now. It's obviously it's a running joke almost amongst football fans of Chelsea and their transfer business. But some of the players that you've mentioned are good footballers, and I think it's just one of those. Every time I look at Chelsea, I'm worried about this weekend because I just still think there's so much quality in that Chelsea side, regardless of how well we've been playing against you boys recently. But in your mind, with the PSR and stuff that you've already mentioned, do you think Chelsea are on track to are they balancing the books every summer? Because obviously we're seeing the headlines of Chelsea buying another player and buying this player, but there are players going out the door as well. Obviously, the likes of Lukaku, I don't think he's completely gone yet, but things like that will certainly help balancing the books, won't they, long term?
Yeah, look, I think that the club, I'm not going to pretend I'm some sort of financial expert here, but the club have always maintained all along that they're compliant with the rules. And one thing that Chelsea are very good at, which doesn't often get reported because it doesn't really fit the narrative that people kind of want to run with, is that we are very good at selling players. We raise a lot of money through player sales, and more players will continue to leave the football club. As you mentioned, Lukaku should join Napoli. Broja's gone to Ipswich. That's a £30 million obligation if they stay in the Premier League this season. Bashir Humphries has gone to Burnley for 15 mil. He's played twice for us in his entire time at the club. So we are bringing money into the football club. Yes, we're spending a lot of money. I think the Felix and Gallagher thing was very much kind of PSR related. That Gallagher deal wasn't going to go through until we bought a player from Atletico Madrid. It was going to be Rodrigon, ended up being Felix. And so, look, I don't worry about the financial side of things. The owners have got a lot of stuff wrong, but if it's one thing they are pretty good at, it's numbers and business. Footballing side of things maybe not, but I think these guys probably know what they're doing in regards to the spreadsheet and stuff. So I don't have any worries that we won't comply with the rules whenever it comes around to being looked at again next summer. We've got plenty more players to move on. Sterling, Chilwell, Chalobah, Kepa's still got to leave, amongst others. So there's a lot of players to move on. They're going to bring more money in, and I'm confident that we're going to be compliant with the rules. What happens with this investigation, with the stuff that happened under Roman, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if we got hit with a transfer ban. Maybe that might make a bit more sense as to why we're bringing so many players in now. Maybe they're preempting that, but yeah, for me, mate, I'm confident that the club's complying with the rules, and the people in charge saying we're all right. Then I'm just going to have to believe we're all right.
It'd be quite well. I suppose it's at the club, but it'd be quite unfair if things under Roman Abramovich, if you get punished for something that was under a completely different owner, I suppose. But well, we'll wait and see on that one. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned Gallagher, Chelsea have got a lot of young players, Brozier as well, who you've already mentioned. That certainly helps PSR. You're selling Brozier if you get the 30 million for him. That's a huge, huge amount, saved towards PSR of how it works. So you are right, and I think. Like I said, the headlines only look at when Chelsea add another player. It doesn't necessarily look at when you move players on. We've spoken about Maresca as well. Interesting appointment, mate, because I think certainly the managerial sort of window during the summer, there weren't that many high profile managers, out and about. Maresca is definitely a risk and a punt by Chelsea. What do you make of him so far? Because it has been a little bit of a poison chalice. So in recent years, whether it's just not results going the right way, or managers getting the sack much sooner rather than later. But what are your thoughts on him so far?
Yeah, look, I think he's done okay. He's been brought in to play a specific brand of football. We want to play possession heavy based football. That's what he does. It's going to take time to implement. We saw some good bits in preseason, as I said, and there were some not so good bits. We still look defensively quite vulnerable. I think going forward, we still create a lot of chances. We still lack a bit of a cutting edge in the final third, someone that's clinical in putting the ball in the back of the net. The midfield looks a lot better balanced now. Romeo Lavia, I think, is going to be a big player for us this season. Some of the build-up play is definitely improving. And we are starting to slowly get to grips with what he's asking from us. Look, it's absolutely a risk. Normally when you see, the Chelsea manager position up for grabs, which has been up for grabs a lot over the years, you're seeing top names linked with it. This
Yeah.
summer, it just goes to show kind of how things have changed at Chelsea and how the landscape's changed in terms of managers as well. This summer, the final shortlist was Maresca, Kieran McKenna, Thomas Frank, and De Zerbi. And, you wouldn't really associate those names with being on a managerial shortlist for Chelsea. But, there are strong links with McKenna. I was never really that big a fan of De Zerbi. I think he's good, but I think people make him out to be a lot better than he is.
Yeah.
And I think Chelsea have probably gone with Maresca because they want to try and find their own version of Arteta. They want to try and find, the next Pep Guardiola playing in that brand of football. I think you're seeing big clubs now take more of a gamble on managers. The CV, I don't think, actually holds as much weight anymore. It's like your potential and the brand of football that you play. We see that with Vincent Kompany going to Bayern Munich. No one would have thought off the back of that season with Burnley he'd be able to land a job of that caliber. So look, he's under huge pressure, Maresca. Like anyone's under pressure at Chelsea. But he's got to be given the time to implement what he's been brought in to do. And it'll be interesting to see what happens if, we're sitting 7th, 8th around Christmas time or whatever, Champions League's looking a little bit difficult, what the club do. So for me, whatever happens, we have to stick with him. And I think he's got the potential. He sticks to his tactics. He believes in the way that he plays. But can he deal with the pressure of Chelsea? Will he be allowed the time to carry out what he's been brought in to do? These are all questions that we don't have the answers to, but the track record so far would suggest that might not be the case.
It'll definitely be interesting. I think, like you said, though, there are a lot of managers and clubs going for those sort of risky appointments, not just in the Premier League and across the Football League. They're looking towards under 21s and assistant coaches, to lead the line now. So it's a different way where clubs are looking for managers and head coaches. And you're right. We'll see how he gets on. Pedro Neto, mate, is obviously one of the strongest links between the clubs at the moment. That was a really quick transfer. I know we briefly messaged at the time when it happened. And, our first game at Molineux this season, more than likely Pedro's either going to start or be a big part of it for Chelsea. What are your thoughts on his arrival at Stamford Bridge, and how did he get on last night in the Conference League as well?
Yeah, mate, it was a surprise, to be honest. Like, it's one of them where, because nowadays you're so used to being like informed like every little step of the way
Yeah.
on transfers and like what's going to happen, that when you get one that appears out of nowhere, it's like it's a big shock. We know, obviously, as you know, Neto probably wasn't going to stay at Wolves this summer.
Mhm.
There were links to Arsenal, there were links to Tottenham, who I think tried as well. And this just came out of nowhere, mate. I was shocked. I remember saying at the start of the window, like, if we could get one player in sort of this summer, I'd love to bring in someone like Pedro Neto. Just someone to give us something a little bit different on the wings. He's Premier League proven, has got that creative spark. Can play just as well on both flanks, which is a big plus for us.
Yeah,
The only downside is the injury record. Of course, as you know, he's missed a lot of games. If we can keep on top of that, then there's a really good player there, and he can become one of the best players, one of the best wingers in the Premier League, in my
for
opinion,
sure.
provided he stays fit. And I think this Chelsea side will suit him well. In terms of how he got on in the Conference League, obviously, I think this was his first start for quite a long time.
Hmm.
Um, I think Maresca was saying afterwards he hadn't started a game or since maybe February or something like that. It
Sounds
might
about
not
right.
be that, yeah,
No,
around
that
that
sounds about right.
time. So he played about an hour. Wasn't amazing, he had a few good moments, direct, taking a fullback on, putting some dangerous balls into the box. Final ball could probably be a little bit better, but he's still rusty and getting up to speed. So there was some promising stuff from him, and I think he's going to have a big part to play this season for us. So I'm delighted we managed to get hold of him because I really wasn't expecting it at all.
Yeah, I think I was speaking to a couple of Chelsea fans when it had happened, and I think it'll be one of those transfers. I think Wolves had to cash in, mainly due to our PSR and the amount of money that you guys had offered. But at the same time, if Chelsea can keep him fit, I think you're right. I think he can be one of the best, wingers in the
Were you
Premier League for
expecting a bit
sure.
more money for him? Because like £51.4 million, there's a few million in add-ons. I mean, less than 60 mils. Do you think that's a fair price?
For a player with his injury record, I think so. I think so. We could have maybe squeezed a little bit more, but I think what at the time maybe 2 to 3 weeks left of the window. Obviously I don't know who else was involved. I think Wolves just had to take that money. But like I said, if he can keep fit for you guys, I think he will be a tremendous signing. We'll see. Do you think he'll start Sunday, Charlie? Or
I'd be surprised if he started.
mm,
I mean, Maresca's comments after the game, after the Conference League game, was saying that maybe he's not ready to start again.
yeah,
But again, he could just be saying that. I don't really know. You know what managers are like these days. They'll say what like a player can't is not going to play, and then suddenly he's in a starting lineup. So I'd be surprised if he started, but I think he'll feature, but probably from the bench. I think he'll get some minutes. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see what he can do. I mean, we struggle against you boys, as I said, but now we've kind of got one of your better players. Hopefully that maybe might be able to swing something in our favour.
yeah, I am intrigued to see obviously how this game goes. I think I caught the first half of the City game. I actually watched little bits and pieces of last night's game, but nothing too in depth. But I think the first half, the way the is it Servette, your opposition, the
Yeah.
way they were breaking, Chelsea just looked a little bit vulnerable at times on that, especially in the first half. I didn't catch the second half, so I assume you booked up the ideas a little bit, and that's Wolves' strength really, that counter attack and breaking quickly. So I'm hoping that at Molineux we can cause you some more problems, but there's been a few players coming back into the frame, and Kunku's one that's been spoken about quite a little bit. But is there anyone else that you're looking forward to seeing more of, and anyone else that you think could be a big part for Chelsea this season?
I mean, obviously, Cole Palmer's is the standard
Mm,
one. Let's wait and see what he can do. Can he get anywhere near what he did last season? But in terms of guys that I think could do something good this season, I think Romeo Lavia could have a breakout season for us.
yeah,
He's virtually like a new signing. He pretty much missed the whole of last season through injury. Had a really positive pre-season. I thought he was brilliant against Manchester City. He only played a few minutes last night. I'd expect
yeah,
him to start this weekend. He's a really good footballer. Someone that just brings that balance to the midfield, controls the game. Gets stuck in, and a real positive performance against Man City. So I think he could be a breakout star. Obviously, Palmer, as I said, you mentioned in Kunku. I'll be interested to see whether Joao Felix plays. I'm not sure if it's going to be a little bit too soon for him. Maybe he'll be on the bench. I'm looking forward to maybe seeing what he can do. I wasn't really the biggest fan of the signing, just purely because from a footballing perspective, I don't see it making any sense. I don't really see why we needed another player that plays like he does, but I hope I'm proven wrong. But yeah, I'd say, to be honest, mate, Lavia and Kunku Palmer are probably the three that I'd look at and think, yeah, these are the guys that could, if they perform really well throughout the season, then, we can maybe do something useful.
yeah. You've got so much talent in there. Even the likes of Sterling and so on that you're looking to move on. I would like Sterling at Wolves. I know that it's never going to happen just purely down to financials, but he always causes us a nightmare. Someone, and I apologise for bringing this up, someone brought up on Christmas Eve the chance that you guys had where he was through on goal
Oh,
and he had
yeah,
the two
that still
players.
haunts me, yeah.
If he squares that, I think Chelsea win the game. Simple as.
Mate, I
And
said it at the time when that happened, like, it's a totally different game. That goes in.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we definitely win, but we probably don't lose.
Yeah. No, I agree. But is there any links with him anywhere at the moment? It's
Mate,
such a
there's not that
difficult deal
many.
to be done.
It's a
Yeah,
difficult deal to be done. There's been links with Palace and Villa,
saw the Villa
Juventus
one.
potentially. Other than that, those are really the three that have been linked, and it's going to be tough to move him on. Obviously he's on big money, and yeah, he'll have to take a pay cut to go anywhere. No one's going to pay him 300 or grand a week. Certainly the likes of Palace and Villa aren't going to do that. I don't know what the finances are like at Juventus, but going generally by Serie A clubs, I don't think they're going to be in a position to offer an awful lot of money. Plus, I don't really know what Chelsea would be asking for in terms of a price. He's got 3 years left on his contract. He's 29 years of age. He's not performing well. We paid 50 mil a couple of summers ago. Maybe if we could get, I don't know, 25, 30 million quid for him, that would maybe be a decent deal. But yeah, really at the moment, mate, it's just Palace, Villa and Juventus that are kind of the early teams that have been linked with him.
I can't believe he's only 29. It feels like
He's
I would
been
have
around forever.
adamant he was like 32, 33 or something like that. It's crazy. But yeah, I am intrigued to see where he goes. But Charlie's been fantastic as always. Can I get a cheeky score prediction from you for Sunday?
Yeah, mate, I'm not that confident for us, to be honest. We're still new in the Maresca days. You've still managed to keep hold of most of your players. Cunha's still there, Huang's still there. So they can definitely cause problems. I think this will end up being a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1.
I think I might take a point. Although Wolves need to win. Our running, especially at Molineux, is very, very tough. I think we've got Liverpool and City quite early on at Molineux as well. So we need to try and get some points on the board. Are you going down up to Molineux from London?
Yeah, mate, I'll be there. I enjoy going to Molineux. So it's one of the best away days. It's good.
Well, people hate Molineux, so you're in the
Mate,
minority there.
I don't mind it. I quite like it.
It's different, I suppose. Yeah, but Charlie, where can people find you and your channel if they wish?
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me as always, mate.
Pleasure,
Blue
mate.
Brother CFC on YouTube. Heading towards 12k. So if you want to help me get there, then just please do subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. And you can also find me over on Chelsea Fan TV as well.
No, brilliant, perfect. Thank you very much, mate. Apart from Sunday, best of luck for the rest of the season, and I'll catch you next time.
Nah, cheers, mate.
So big thanks once again to Charlie. I'll make sure I leave a link to his page in the description down below, and it'll be in the title of the video on YouTube as well. And guys, do let me know your thoughts ahead of this match. Like I said earlier on, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you are watching as a podcast, be sure to leave us a 5-star review. Until next time, let's enjoy the game. Fingers crossed it's 3 points for the Wolves on Sunday. And I'll be back on at the YouTube and podcast giving the latest transfer news and rumours over the next few days or so before the end of the transfer window. Until then, guys, enjoy yourselves and I'll see you soon.